of love, of course.
There he is.
Huey Lewis in studio. We finally got a real celebrity in here.
That is.
I'm not even kidding you, Huey Lewis.
As opposed to a fake celebrity.
Well,
yeah, we've had plenty of fake celebrities.
We get a lot of fake celebrities, you know.
People that think they're celebrities, things like that. But you are indeed a celebrity.
I appreciate that.
And we apologize for making you wait out there with Stalker Patty.
I had fun talking to Patty.
Did
you really?
No, you didn't.
No, I honestly did. Of course, I did all the talking. So
she was probably just like gushing over you. Hi, Huey. It's a pleasure to meet you.
You know Patty. I can tell.
We know her.
Well, she's not called Stalker Patty for nothing.
She's a big fan. That's the power of love. I'm singing along with your songs and everything.
That's good.
Huey Lewis, man. Talk about an icon in music. You were there, beginning of MTV. How many music videos you remember watching with Huey Lewis
Too
in the
many
news?
to count, Anthony.
The hit songs, one after another. It was like you were glomming the hits.
And the guy doesn't age. You look exactly the same.
I do. I really look good. Your viewers don't have.
No. We'll get some pictures though.
That's my thing. Looking good.
Looking good.
Very important thing.
And a big fan of XM, right?
Big fan of XM.
You got XM satellite radio?
I got XM satellite radio.
What's the channels you listen to?
I go to that 80s channel a little bit.
Fred?
I bounce around.
The Fred
80s.
channel?
No, the 80s.
Oh, just the 80s? Okay.
You don't like the
Channel
Decades channels, do you?
I hate the Decades
I
channels.
am on those all the time.
I'm a niche guy.
I got a whole, preset that is just, I go 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and I'll just pop through them all. It's nostalgic. At one point, you hit 60s, and I'm a little kid listening to Monday, Monday, la, la, la. And then, boom, I'm in the 80s. That's the power of love. Dun, 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 dun. Back to the Future. And then, boom, I'm in the 70s. Wow, 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 wow. I love it. It's a time machine on four wheels.
No 40s channel?
Huh?
I figured you'd be into the 40s channel.
No, I'm not quite. I'm not quite going back to the 40s. How far back you go in the decades? Do you go to the 40s?
I love the 40s.
You go back there?
That was the great audio age, pre-television. That's when radio really mattered, you know?
Yeah, that's what they tell me. I
True.
don't know.
I mean, people learned how to dress and how to be that way. I mean, we were just talking about that outside.
With Patty? She remembers.
I mean, and you think about the best minds of the black generation, for example, were musicians. Couldn't be doctors and lawyers. Most of them were from the South.
Yeah.
They're from Kansas City or St. Louis in those jazz bands, and they're dying to get to New York, to get out of the South.
Yeah.
That's what the music told us, and that was the cutting edge. That, wasn't any TV. People listened to radio to find out what was hip. I like New York in June. How about you? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was when radio really mattered.
And radio stinks now. Commercial radio stinks.
Yeah, commercial radio's rough. I mean, all the commercials.
I've been doing the commercial radio since I was 18, and now the satellite, it's a whole new world.
I don't think San Francisco, we were talking about that. San Francisco, which, pioneered FM radio when, with Big Daddy Tom Donahue and K-San and Camp PX and all this, when it was really happening. We were glued to that channel. And now, I don't know that there's a radio station in San Francisco that's programmed by somebody who lives in San Francisco.
Yeah. So all the corporations have taken over.
I think they're in Phoenix or Fresno or San Antonio or somewhere like that.
Yeah. And it's almost impossible for a new artist to get on or...
Well, audio isn't enough anymore.
No.
The other thing that's interesting is music used to be the domain of blind artists because they could play so good and blah blah. But nowadays, we're going to have another Stevie Wonder. I don't know how they make the video.
Yeah, right.
It's a problem.
Yeah, that and you got to have something on there for your computer. You got to have something on the disc that you can pop in and be interactive with it, stuff like that. What are you working on?
I'm doing a Broadway show at the moment in
Chicago, right?
Yeah, Chicago the musical, which has really been fun.
Wow.
And was a big challenge for me, and I've finally kind of got it together, and it's really fun. Yeah.
What's the hardest part? It's got to be memorizing things, right?
Let's see. What is the hardest part? The hardest part is doing it all at once. You have to sing and you have to sing and dance and remember all your lines and act. And then you have to be an ensemble player. So, that, in my gig, which I wrote myself, I can do whatever I want to do. If I want to go over there, I go over there. If I want to hit a different note, I hit a different note. Here, I have to, it's very disciplined. So.
Yeah, take direction.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's gotta.
Did you ever think you'd do Broadway?
Never.
Yeah, right.
Never. I didn't think I would this time either. It's daunting. You know, the talent to humility ratio is huge on Broadway, which is refreshing coming from rock and roll, frankly. And you know,
those Broadway audiences are fickle.
Oh,
they're the worst. I went and saw The Odd Couple recently.
Yeah.
With Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane. And it was great. I loved it. But, man, you get these Broadway... That's all these people do is go to Broadway, you know? And they are so fickle, man.
Yeah, I know. They're tough.
They're really a tough audience.
Yeah.
Critic.
Well, I was going to decline politely, but as it happens, my son goes to NYU, and I was visiting him anyway. So I said, well, let me see the show, and they gave me 2 tickets, and we went, and I was knocked out by the show. The music is fantastic.
Yeah.
You got to hear it more than once, but it's phenomenal.
Does your son want Daddy around all the time, though?
Exactly.
Because I bet you're now living in New York, right?
Living in New York.
Calling him up a little too much. Going, hey,
right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Fortunately, I have a show every night.
And he's got a cool father, you know, Huey Lewis. But I'm sure it doesn't matter if you got a celebrity father. It's still the same shit.
It is.
Dad, leave me alone, man. I'm trying to get laid here.
You got it.
How does the Broadway, the traditional Broadway, I guess, actors and singers, how do they react to you coming in? You know, do they look at it like, hey, hotshot rock guy coming in, or are you warmly accepted?
Isn't that wild? I mean, wouldn't you think there'd be a little bit of resentment, but there isn't. As far as either that or they're very good at faking it,
hiding it.
But they're just wonderful, and they root for you. Mm-hmm. And my understudy in the role is a guy who taught me the role, Bernard Dotson. He's a member of the ensemble. He's a fabulous Billy Flynn in his own right. He doesn't feel. I mean, he's just rooting for me.
Behind the scenes, he's calling up the guys from the news and going, I think Huey wants to get the band back together again.
No,
get him out of here, please.
I can't tell you how wonderful the company has been and how great everybody is. I would think, if I was a gypsy and I'd been working on Broadway for 20 years, I'd feel a little resentment when some guy came in. But I haven't felt a thing like that.
Hey, what happened to the news?
We're writing. We're going back.
You are.
Yeah,
but what are those guys doing while you're doing this?
They're writing.
Do they do
playing other gigs? Yeah.
Oh, they do other band projects and stuff.
Well, yeah, working on everybody's got home studios and.
You've still been touring though as a band.
Yeah.
This whole time.
Yeah. We never.
We got someone on the line that says they see Huey every year in Atlantic City.
See?
Yeah, Atlantic City's huge.
Well, a
lot of
yeah.
No, you know something?
It's a gig.
When I drive there, when I drive there, you see billboards of people you never would have thought would have played Atlantic City. Same thing, and I think Vegas kind of turned that around because Vegas used to be where it was kind of cheesy if you ended up in Vegas.
Not anymore.
Now, though, there are big-name rock acts playing Vegas and Atlantic City.
And the same thing's true with, if you were a TV actor, you didn't do film.
Yeah.
That's all blown out of the water now, too.
Yeah, commercials, another thing.
It's all
people
screen
really don't
time
care about
anymore.
it. It's not selling out if your song ends up in a commercial anymore.
I tell you, the amazing thing about Atlantic City is that,
the amount of money they pay you, Huey, come on.
They pay us well. The gigs are sold out, and you can't get a hotel room.
Yeah.
And it's, Atlantic City, it's not Hawaii.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You do a little of that gambling?
Very little. I like to play craps, but usually when I'm working in the hotel, you don't want to get bothered if you go down, so I don't gamble usually.
You don't like getting bothered anymore?
Yeah,
I don't mind it. Let's face it.
When did it get old?
It's so recognizable.
Anybody who does what I do has got to like the attention a little bit, or he wouldn't have done it in the first place.
But when did it get old for you? When they start bothering your family?
Well, there's a part of the time.
Or when you're trying to take a leak and some guy's trying to shake your hand.
That's not good.
There had to be a moment where you're like, wow, man, this is kind of a drag.
Well, like I said, anybody who does what I do has got to like the attention. He would have done it to begin with. So there's a period of time when you actually enjoy it.
Yeah, of course.
And there's another period of time when you tolerate it, and hopefully there's a much smaller period of time when it drives you up the wall.
Okay.
So and everybody's got a horror story on some celebrity. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, the worst stories are the first-class flight attendants. Because, this is my theory now, this is a personal theory, if you're in an airport, you're kind of like fair game.
Yeah.
And so you're signing autographs and being nice and blah, 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 and you can't wait to get on the airplane. So they stop. Finally, they board the airplane, you get in your first class, you sit down in your seat, and the flight attendant goes, oh, my gosh, can I have your autograph?
And you're stuck with them. I saw Bob Saget was sitting in front of me when we were flying back from L.A. last time, And
he flipped out.
One of the flight attendants would not leave him alone.
Right.
Just kept coming up and talking to him and asking him things, and then going, "All right, I'll leave you alone. I'm sorry." And then 2 seconds later would come back again.
Yeah.
And where's Bob Saget going? Unless he's got a parachute, he's there for the duration.
That's it.
And just being. You'd think they would tell these people, leave them alone.
But that's where you get your best horror stories, are from limousine drivers and first-class flight attendants.
You got to do the Spinal Tap thing with the limo driver. Right in the middle of talking, you just bring the divider up.
Yeah.
Fucking
What's wild...
I love that scene.
What's wild about the limousine drivers is you assume that they're entirely discreet. Because you get in the back of a limousine and the guy's up there and he's got a uniform on and he says nothing and you talk about whatever you want to talk about. But all you need to know is get in a limousine sometimes and say, "Hey, who have you had in here lately?" And they'll just go everything.
What they've done, what they talked about.
That's it.
Yeah, bastards.
Well, we got a lot of people that want to say hi to Huey. Huey Lewis. Andrew in New York, what's up?
Hey, how you doing? I wanted to ask Huey how he felt about the use of his music in American Psycho.
Yeah, man.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that movie's fantastic.
I enjoyed it.
That was such a great scene.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. The guy, I'd read the book.
Which is a lot darker than the movie, believe it or not.
But there was we had there was a kind of a slightly ugly story about the whole thing. What happened was they asked us to use the song in the film. I hadn't seen the film. I knew the book. I said sure. They had William Dafoe. It was clearly a serious movie. We said sure. And on the eve of the release of the movie, they sprung this soundtrack CD on us that they're going to release. Well, the soundtrack CD had our tune and a bunch of source music. It wasn't a great CD, and I thought, I was on the road. My manager said, "Should we? We never signed up for the CD, and we don't want our fans to buy it for the one song. No, thank you. We don't want to be on the CD." Well, they were miffed by that, so they issued a press release on the eve of the thing that I had pulled my track from the CD because I hated the movie, that it was so violent and blah, blah, blah. And that's why that groundswell started. I hadn't even seen the movie, so I think it's fine. Enjoyed it.
Do you like Huey Lewis in the news? Love that scene.
Let's go to John in Texas. John.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, John.
Look, I was going to ask, Mr. Lewis, I'm kind of an 80s kid. I'm a semi-fan. What I really wanted to know is, you were not an unknown when you did the Back to the Future movies, and how did that propel your further rise to fame with those set of movies?
An actual fact, they asked us, did we want to write a song? Steven Spielberg, Bob Zemeckis, and Bob Gale, who produced,
name dropper,
directed, and wrote the film, asked to have a meeting. We had a meeting down there at Amblin, and they said, "We've written this movie, and this character, Marty McFly's favorite band would be Huey Lewis in the News. How would you like to write a song for the film?" And I said, "We don't know how to write for film, but I'll send you the next thing we write."
Don't know how to write for film.
Which was
a couple of hit songs, sure.
Well, we just wrote Power of Love and sent it to him, which I actually didn't think was going to work because there was no love interest, but they used it and boom. And the song was released, and it was a #1 record before the movie was released. So Zemeckis, to this day, I saw him at the 25-year DVD thing, the 3-pack, whatever. And he said,
I bought it. I know.
He said that was the key, that was a big key to the marketing of the film, was that the song was a smash before the movie came out. So it didn't really, the way the movies didn't do anything for me, really. It was great that the song was a big hit, but it was probably a bigger hit because of the movie. So there.
Sorry, you're just too darn loud.
Exactly.
Do you send line? Do you help Ray Parker Jr.
I love it.
I can't talk about that, I'm afraid.
Not at all.
No, that was
one of those can't talk about shit.
That was one of those ugly things.
The deal was done and shut up.
Wow. Does he call you?
No Christmas card?
How big was the Huey Lewis in the News, and at your biggest point comparable to
6 feet?
The Stones? Like, I don't know. How were you as big as the biggest rock groups out there that people still talk about or something? Were you at your highest? Was you as big as U2 or something?
They had Sports and 4.
I have no idea.
Huge, like you couldn't even imagine. I'm trying to equate it to a hip-hop artist, something you'd understand, Patrice.
But Huey,
I can't even.
Big, legit, just big like that.
Massive.
Really? I mean, I know. I'm
like
not gonna
LL in the day.
But I know Huey Lewis in the news. I want a new. I know that shit. But I'm just saying, I want how big. Because I'm so stupid. I thought maybe the motherfuckers that went, take on me. I don't fucking know.
You out of your mind?
One hit.
That was a big one for me, Take on Me.
Huey looked like he wanted to knock the motherfucking teeth out. I'm just saying, I don't know how big it was.
He was
LL.
We were as big as Pee Wee Herman.
And when he was at his biggest.
At his peak.
You're doing great with Huey.
I love Patrice's,
you mentioned Ray Parker and Aha.
His question
he wants
to
to
musicians.
knock your teeth out.
Oh, yeah. I'm just asking, what the fuck do you want from me? Jesus Christ.
Aha had one hit, although they were huge in Europe.
Who was? Aha.
I mean, I'm not comparing this guy. I know he's a rocker, but I'm just saying it's in terms of bigness.
He was huge.
You know?
What is bigness? What is bigness? What?
Huge.
Record sales? What?
Lots of number ones, right?
Booty.
A few number ones.
Few.
Many millions sold.
Yeah, I guess.
They made us rip up the tape at church camp. I'll tell you that.
What happened
Laszlo
there?
got in trouble because he was listening to you, Huey.
There's a interesting new artist called Paul Thorne, who's a real good songwriter and a buddy of ours, who opens for us. And he was raised in Tupelo, Mississippi, and his father was a Baptist preacher, and he wasn't allowed any electric music. And the first record he got was Picture This. It was one of our records, yeah. And
I didn't think it was quite such devilish music.
Well,
they made us rip up him and Duran Duran.
Yeah, I could see.
Wait, what happened, Laszlo?
That's the slippery slope to hell. You go to these church camps, they're like a week long, you know, you're a young kid, you have chapel every night, and they just rail on and on about, you know, current music and how it's the path to the devil and all this, and then they maybe see you listening to your Walkman, what are you listening to, and they say...
Well, I'll tell you one thing, seriously, I probably shouldn't say this, but it's okay, and I like the music a lot, but the message for rappers today about get rich or die trying, that's a hell of a message, isn't it, to give the kids? Get rich or die trying? I mean, I don't get that. Frankly, in my day, at least, it was a little more, you know, creative than that, I think. And that's the one thing I worry about.
It's from where
very
you are.
Very materialistic.
Very materialistic.
And they buy into that whole American thing.
What?
Here we go.
Very materialistic. Your people.
Patrice has woken up.
Don't you think? I mean,
no, I mean, I'm saying it's just where you're from. It's like fucking...
How come white people have such great music?
What the fuck?
That's the question.
I mean, no, I want a new drug. I mean, give me a fucking break.
I loved I Want a New Drug.
Fucking,
it was a metaphor.
It was the exact. Why the fuck
it's a metaphor.
50 have a metaphor? Get rich or die trying.
What's
Maybe
the metaphor?
Means have a heart attack because you're working so fucking hard.
No, it's not.
It does not.
It doesn't say get rich or kill a motherfucker in a bank robbery because it's a metaphor. I don't know what.
What is that a metaphor for?
The same metaphor that I want a new drug. The connotation that you can make. I'm just saying it's the same thing as get rich or die trying. How come it can't be I'm going to work hard until I die?
Well, it's actually completely opposite.
Right.
Exactly. Want a New Drug is about I want a new drug that makes me feel like when I'm with you, which is love, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it ain't the biggest message in the world.
But all I hear is drug use. That's what I hear, right? The rest is fucking Spanish to me. It's just cocaine to me.
You're right.
Well, we got Mark the trucker on the line. Mark, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, fellas?
Pretty good.
Morning. Huey, I wanted to ask you, did you ever find that new drug?
Still looking, man. Still looking.
I love your band, man. I listen to you all the time, though.
I appreciate it.
Very cool. Dave in California. Dave.
Yeah, hey, guys. How you doing today?
Pretty good. We're having a good time.
Hey, Huey, I met you years ago over at the AT&T Pro-Am. How's the golf game going?
Non-existent. It's 22 degrees in New York City, man.
He lives in New York now, so.
You got to get back to California.
There goes the handicap, right?
Yeah, there goes the handicap.
We got the best courses, you know it. Punching out, guys.
Actually, I'll tell you, Long Island's got some awesome golf courses.
You go all the way out east there?
I haven't been out there, but
Black course.
they're all
Beth Page.
There are a lot of them out there.
Make sure you play Bethpage Black.
Yeah, Bethpage.
That's the one where you tee off first hole and lose your ball. You'd never find it.
It's over 200 yards before you even hit the fairway.
Yeah.
On some of these holes.
Yeah.
Before you even hit the fairway.
Do you find it harder to write now than it was back in the 80s, maybe? I mean, do you run out of ideas of things to write? Or
I mean, that's very valid. I don't know why that is, but a part of it's when you've written a bunch of songs. And now you go to start writing something, it's kind of like something you already did. Like you can't have rock and roll we have a song called Hard to Rock and Roll. Well, there's your rock and roll in the title song.
Yeah, you don't want
to... Can't have the kidney of rock and roll, you know what I mean? I mean, you're done with that. So there is stuff that were places you can't go because you already did that in a way.
And is there also just getting a little older, your mindset changes, so
I think
some of the subject matter?
You know, Dylan dealt with that in the 60 Minutes thing, which was very interesting, and they asked him, you just don't know where those songs come from, to be honest. You know, you have to be open to that, and the muse comes or she doesn't, and it is tougher to write when you get older, I think. But I also think that 12 things, like a CD now is 12 tunes or something, I think that's just too many.
Yeah.
And why is it that recorded music all has to be the exact same size and the exact same price? In other words, why are all 12 songs for no matter if it's Miles Davis or 50 Cent? Why is it all got to be the same? Why? Look, paintings are different sizes and different prices. Books are different sizes and different prices. Even wine, for Christ's sake, is different price. What about limited vintage aimed to a boutique market? And then Joni Mitchell might make another record. And Randy Newman might make another record. But we're losing our great artists because everything's the same price. It's sold like a commodity. And record labels, therefore, if they want to maximize the profits, they got to sell more CDs, so they aim for the kids.
This sounds to me like you want to write 3 songs and get $20 an album for it.
Now you're talking.
That's kind of what I'm getting here. But
that's what the record companies are upset about with iTunes. Everything should not be 99 cents. They're saying some songs are worth 20 cents. Other songs are worth $2.50.
Well, the bottom line is it ought to be treated as an art form. American popular music is arguably America's greatest contribution to the world and culture. 40 years ago, America grew things, we built things.
Polio vaccine.
We invented the internet. I think I might put that over.
I'd say polio vaccine, music.
Wasn't polio vaccines started in France, I think? With Pasteur, really.
Louis Pasteur.
And I don't know, but whatever. But when you go around the world today, that you hear America's music in everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, in Africa, in Europe, and Asia, and so on. And our business, that is, treats it like gasoline or rice, like a commodity.
I also always wanted to know, especially with somebody that's had the success that you've had and the amount of hit songs. When you when you write a new album, let's say, and you put out new music and you perform it live, you know what the majority, let's say, pretty much 99% of the audience is there. They want to see the stuff that you've done already, your hits. Is that frustrating as an artist?
That's a great question.
It's a very good question.
I'll tell you why. I went and saw the Stones over the summer.
Right.
And it was like, the new stuff is definitely really good, but it's like, why are you wasting 20 minutes on the new stuff? I want to hear, Sympathy or what have you.
Exactly. And that's understandable. People want to hear your songbook. And as long as you don't work too much, it's real fun to play your songbook. I mean, you love those songs anyway, as long as you don't have to play them 200 nights a year. So that's why you tour and take big breaks between tours. We work 85 shows a year, which is fine. It's like falling in love all over again. But then again, you do need new things. Why? Because as a storyteller, you need a new story every once in a while. And so all you need are 1 or 2 things for yourself, and that's generally what happens. They make a new record, the Stones, they come out, they play 2 songs from it, and then all the songs.
Do you ever glance over at one of the guys in the band during Power of Love or something and just go, you believe we're still fucking playing this song?
Well, when you get to that point, it's time to take a little bit of a holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see a band up there and they do 36 minutes and the singer comes out after 15 and they're miserable, it's because it's their 6th night in a row.
Right.
I mean, if you don't work too much, it's like falling in love all over again. I guarantee you, take 2 weeks off, it's a ball.
Yeah. It's the creative curse, because we do a very creative radio show, and there are times I look at Anthony like, can you believe we're telling this fucking story again? But we have to. And I'm not even kidding you. And some of
who's going to put the weird little different twist on it this time?
And some of the old listeners will call us out like, dude, you've told that story 10 times, but we know like the audience is building and building, and we have to go down some of these roads so they get to know us.
Not a crow, it's an owl.
Yeah. So
how do some groups... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay.
How do some groups get out. Like I keep saying U2 because it's the only thing I can think of in terms, but. It seems like people are accepting to U2, who's been around for years and years. They're accepting that they're going to play new music, and they're not going to play whatever their hit
They're
was.
one of the few, man.
But how do you get that thing? We want to hear the new shit too. Like Vertigo is just as big.
Right. It's very hard to go through a couple of decades and be relevant and update yourself where you're just as popular as you were. And it's because of your new music and your old catalog. I don't know how it's done. I don't know what the formula is there.
No, I think that's a good point. And they've done a very good job. They take huge breaks between records and really work on their new records, number one. And number two, they are subject to some of those same things. People go see U2. They want to hear the old things, too. I mean, they really do.
That's true, yeah.
And they're,
Did you used to write on the road?
Yeah.
All right, because we have interviewed so many bands, and when they go and tour, they stop the creative process. I don't get that.
Yeah.
I would think if I was a lead singer and I was writing the songs for the band, that I would be writing all the time. Well, it seems like then the tour ends, it's like, all right, now it's time to write the new album.
Yeah.
And I never understood that when bands would come in here and tell us that.
Well, because when you're doing a show, if you're putting a show together, then your daytime's worried about reworking the show.
You got to think there's downtime on the bus or the hotel room where all of a sudden you got a little thought. It almost seems like they don't even use that part of their brain until the tour's over.
And we wrote a lot of our good stuff on the road in the early days, and again, don't write so much on the road anymore. So maybe that's the problem. I mean, writing is a chore. It's tough. And Joni Mitchell said what's interesting is that now, my stuff is our pop songs, and I don't mean that demeaningly. I mean I like that. Rock and roll can be about anything.
Yeah.
As long as when the guy says I'm going to Kansas City, they got some crazy little women there, and I'm going to get me one. We believe he's going to Kansas City. He knows about the crazy little women, and he wants to get him one. Yeah, right. Then it's rock and roll, So it can be about anything. It doesn't need to be about things. But you're informed by your audience to a certain extent. In the old days, you write with the radio. There are people out there. Want a New Drug is a pop song sent to a generation that relates to that. Well, how do you do that when now you're not going to get played on the radio?
Right.
Period. I mean, Joni Mitchell made this same point. So who are you writing for? And suddenly, and where are you going to go? You go to television is the only place. Our crowd, if you're over 28 and white and not country, then you got to go to TV. And where you go David Letterman, and then you get tacked on at the end, and he doesn't talk to you.
Right.
And it's just cheap to be a singer anymore. It's not. And so it's tougher to write because you're informed by your audience.
There's no going to MTV anymore.
Radio has really abandoned a lot of good music. Yeah. I remember when John
and video and MTV and all
MTV.
that. Yeah.
You guys were huge on MTV, and it was a little odd because even then you guys didn't really fit the bill of what was going on at the time. I mean, you didn't have the look of the guys that were on there. I remember, as a matter of fact, what was it? One Beavis and Butthead, I believe it was like, this guy looks like a friend of my dad's. And it was just hysterical.
Well, we never were. We formed right before music television in the late 70s.
Yeah.
So we never really set ourselves up to be trendy because it was it was an audio deal. It wasn't about a visual thing. It was an audio deal. Now, had we started later, we probably would have adopted. I mean, we would have done anything. Believe me.
If nothing else, it's a compliment to your music because you weren't setting up as a visual.
And it served us well over the long haul because now our stuff that we wrote in our 20s is actually more relevant. We were anachronistic then. We were old-fashioned then.
Yeah.
And now it actually lives stuck with you, doing Off My Baby. If this is it, these are more for sort of.
Were you one of the bands affected by Nirvana?
What do you mean affected by Nirvana?
Well, I mean,
oh man, I like Huey because he's a.
No, it's all right.
A mean motherfucker. What you mean affected by? What you mean, nigga? Say it.
There were a lot of bands. There were a lot of bands that went away because of Nirvana, like the hair bands and stuff. Like, what effect did that have on you guys?
I don't know. We were
because you weren't really in the.
We were off the radio.
You really weren't in the hair band category that it really affected, but it seemed like that just reinvented everything when they came around.
I don't know. I mean,
I think the hair bands affected like that whole influx of Poison and Motley Crue and everything. Kind of got where MTV was like, this is all we're playing. You turned on MTV, all you saw was a blonde lead singer with the hair down to his ass
and the
makeup and stuff, and that
some
was
guy welding, and then a shot of some chicks,
a chick with a sword.
That would affect him though. I can imagine that would affect Huey Lewis.
And how about now the television became so much more important. A lot of our pop bands and hard rock bands seem to come from Sweden. What's up with that? When did Scandinavia be a hotbed of American popular music?
They are the whitest people you can find.
They're the most attractive, and they look good on television.
99 Luftballon.
I think she was German.
Whatever.
But sure. Just to finish the previous thought, and Randy Newman said this, who's one of my favorite artists, and he won an Oscar for the song he wrote for the Toy Story. Is that right? I think it was Toy Story. Got a Friend in Me or something.
Yeah.
And he kind of poo-pooed it in an article that I read because his latest record, which I still think is his latest record, it's called Bad Love. It's an album, and if you're a Randy Newman fan, I mean, it's a masterpiece record.
Yeah.
And sold nothing. And it never got played, bump, nothing.
Yeah, where would it get played,
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. And it's an absolute masterpiece. It's funny, it's poignant, it's wonderful, it's musically rich, it's orchestrated wonderfully, well produced, really great. Probably his best work.
Wow.
And it got no attention.
Yeah.
That's a bitch.
So, thanks.
And what about acting?
So go get him, satellite radio.
Any more movies?
Well, you
got pretty good reviews for duets. Yeah. I saw that in a hotel one night, and you did a great job.
Well, I am in showbiz. I'll do anything for money or attention.
Is that it?
All right, it's Huey Lewis. He's on Broadway doing the Chicago thing. Anything else we're promoting today?
No.
You can promote.
I can promote.
Yeah, you got to have a CD or something out there.
Our best work is a thing called Live at 25. It's a DVD and a live CD, and it's out a year now. But it's sort of a snapshot of where we are at the moment. We've sort of reinvented ourselves over the last 10 years into this. We have a 3-piece horn section now. We've sort of reversed into the playing music the way there was before all this stuff.
We got 5 autographed copies of that we'll give away right now.
Nice.
Huey, thanks. This was great.
Hey, thanks a lot. Nice chat with you guys. Keep up the good work.
All right.
From